Good morning. When do my 10 minutes start, Joe? That's when I say good morning? Okay. First of all, I must thank DESA for allowing us, the Caribbean Center for Development Administration, to give Caribbeans its perspective on e-government and innovation for sustainable development. Not really a Caribbean perspective per se, but a CARICOM perspective, because we have our Caribbean brothers here, sisters I should say, from Aruba. It's one of the, I think one of the things in the Caribbean, in English-speaking Caribbean, we tend to think that the world begins and ends with us. It's good to have some reminder that that is indeed not so. Okay, advance. I'm an engineer, you know. Okay, my first degree was in engineering. I figured it out eventually. So the Caribbean Center for Development Administration, which I work for, is an institution of the Caribbean community. And here we have some of our, all of our full member states. I don't show the associate members, but just to give an idea of the difference in terms of what we're dealing with today, as opposed to what we've heard throughout most of the week. We've got the member states of the Caribbean community in terms of population, starting with most populous Haiti with just 10 million. We start a decrease in population rather exponentially, going all the way down 2.7 million to Jamaica, down to our smallest full members, which is Montserrat, with a population of just over 5,000. In terms of land area, similar distribution. Guyana is at the top of the league table there, but a similar exponential reduction. We have a lot of our member states in the sub 1,000 square kilometer size in terms of land area. Now, the disadvantages of what I term the small island developing states are well known. I need not go into them there. I'm sure we are all aware of what they are. And I think almost instinctively from the earliest times, we in the Caribbean have tried to surmount those disadvantages of size with a regional integration process. Started in 1958 with the West Indies Federation, which was a full unitary state, with a prime minister who was based in Trinidad and Tobago. Again, for reasons which need not deter us here, the federation only lasted about 4 years. The successor to the federation was the Caribbean Free Trade Area, started in 1965. The original Treaty of Charles created the Caribbean Community, which was a common market in 1973. And as of 2006, we have the Caribbean Community, including the Caribbean Single Market and Economy, which is moving us closer to the stage of, I would say, more of an economic union, but not quite. We have a very tight grouping of some of our member states, the very smallest member states of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. Those are the states which you will see mostly of them in the sub 1,000 square kilometer size. They've got a mature integration process that goes back some just over 30 years. They've got a currency union that has been operating for over 30 years, at least a single central bank, and other actually instruments of integration. So this is just to set the scene to say that when we speak about sustainable development and e-governance, I'm very interested in Professor Young's work because it is my own unschooled and unsubstantiated thesis that e-government is only a small part of what we have to do to achieve sustainable development. There are some very serious structural disadvantages to be overcome. I would just ask you to think about our smallest member, Montserrat. What if they were at the top of the e-government rankings? Would you expect to see them at the top of HDI? Would it necessarily follow? The Caribbean, our colleagues from the Inter-American Development Bank recently, as this is last week, released a study where they looked at the Caribbean in comparison to what they call the rest of small economies. And in all of these dimensions that you see here, growth, volatility, productivity, and competitiveness, quality of institutions, and so on, the Caribbean performed poorly relative to the rest of the small economies. So So see, again, I don't know if you're Group C, Professor. I'm going to deal only with the natural disasters out of all of those dimensions, because that's a politically safe one to deal with. Politicians can always say, you know, and we can't control natural disasters. If we start to speak about macroeconomic performance and so on and so forth, I venture into a lot more, I would say, hazardous territory. But again, if you look at the rest of the world, which would experience on average one natural disaster per square kilometer, the rest of the small economies threefold, and the Caribbean 5 times as much as the rest of the world. And in terms of the cost of those natural disasters per square kilometer, it's a similar distribution. 1 to 3 to 5, roughly, if you look at those costs. Despite this, we've made some advances in some of our member states with respect to e-government. Trinidad and Tobago has implemented in recent past an electronic single window, which won, I think, a U.S. Public Service Award last year. They've got electronic birth registration, which have taken out to all of those 1.3 million people on the island. TT Connect, which was, I think, second or third place winner some years ago. The graphic that you probably don't see very well there, TT Connect was an initiative which would take public services out by bus. There's an e-ready bus that citizens could call and say, this person wants birth certificates, this person wants passport applications, this one wants a land. So people from different government departments would get on that bus, which is e-ready, and go out to that community on an appointed day to deliver services. The rest of our members, they've not been standing still. There have been other advances as well. We've got e-filing, electronic birth certificates again. Fisheries management, which one of our very smallest members won, I think, a second place 3 years ago in 2011, for an innovative application regarding fisheries in the island of Dominica. The OECS, as a group, 6 islands came together to do applications for multi-purpose ID card, which would facilitate freedom of movement, because in the OECS Economic Union, there is freedom of movement, unqualified. So the multi-purpose ID card would facilitate that, and pool procurement and so on, e-government applications on a supranational basis. There's some planned applications, and these are ranging from being in the stage of tender to actually contract award. The second 2, regional registry of companies, the intention is that once you register a company in any CSME territory, you have registered in all. The Judicial Management Information System is a project that is now starting, and the intention is that this system, there would be a base application which would be used by any of the judicial management authorities in any of the member states as they see, as it customized for their particular environment. So I think I've only got one more slide after this. Despite all this, I have some general questions which I hope we can ponder. Why are we still generally doing poorly on indices such as ease of doing business, competitiveness, worthy government? And the second question, I think if we answer the second one, we answer the first. You would think that because of our small size, we would be among the first and the foremost in all of government approaches, but that just isn't so. We heard Aruba just now say, we can't work together. I saw Professor Young's presentation. We spoke to coordination of all the agencies responsible for ICT. We've got to tackle that problem. So, picture of the beach, come visit us sometime. Thank you.